What's going on, guys? Duffman here, back again with another video, and happy Halloween to everyone. Hopefully you guys have a fun, safe night if you choose to go out. But if you guys are staying in, what a perfect video to watch, because I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite movies to watch on Halloween. So let's get started, guys. Before getting to my honorable mentions, which thinking about it now, it kind of makes this my top 10 favorite movies to watch on Halloween, but I'm going to be discussing the top 5 a little bit more, and the other ones I'm just going to mention them and show them. But this movie is not a movie, it's a compilation, and it's called Boogeyman, the Killer Compilation. I don't know if you guys seen this, but it's exactly that. It's just a compilation of all these horror icons, and it just shows you a little quick scene, one of their death scenes or something like that. And it's just awesome. For me, I like to see this before I see any of these guys' films to kind of give me that mood. You know, okay, cool, I'm about to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. And it has a bunch of other killers you guys don't see on here, like Candyman, you have Ghostface, Norman Bates, just a bunch of horror icons. It's just like before there was YouTube and we can see the compilations on there, they had this. I think that's why they don't have a Blu-ray version of it. But yeah, I just felt like I had to mention this because it's just, look at it, it's just awesome, and it has all the horror icons. So yeah. Alright, so starting off with my honorable mentions in no particular order, it has to be Saw 1 and 2. I know I have the whole series right here, but the others are alright. I mean, some are terrible, but I really love the first two. When this came out, I believe maybe in 2005, it just blew my mind, and I just thought the twist was really good. And it also, I feel like, introduced us to one of the more modern horror icons, and that's Jigsaw and Billy the Puppet. So I have to love it for that. Going on with my list is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. For me, I've seen this 2 weeks ago, again 2 weeks ago. And it just still feels very real to me for some reason. It just has this sort of eerie vibe to it. That kind of like when I watched The Shining. It just gives me this sort of, it just creeps me out. And Leatherface is one of my favorite horror icons today. He's just so badass. But anyways, the next movie is kind of a horror movie, but it also pokes fun of the genre. And The Cabin in the Woods. I love watching this movie around this time because, like I said, it just pokes fun of the genre, and it's fun for that. But I thought the horror elements in this were pretty great. And the next one going, man, I get kind of chills looking at it. It's The Exorcist, the next on my list, or honorable mentions or whatever. But yeah, man, this movie just still, again, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it just still gives me the creeps. I was terrified of the Exorcist, the little girl in this movie, growing up. Just gave me nightmares, and it kind of still does. But it's just a great horror movie to watch on Halloween. And then going back to the 90s, for us 90s kids, is Hocus Pocus. I love this movie. Growing up, I used to watch it over and over and over again. Just never got old. And I recently just watched it as well. And I still love it to this day. And it just gives me that Halloween vibe. So, yeah. The heck. But anyways, let's go on to my actual list. Alright, guys. So starting off with number 5 has to be The Shining. I just mentioned it a little bit earlier. When I seen this movie for the first time a few years back, man, it just gave me this creepy vibe to it. It just terrified me, and this not gave me fear or something. It just felt this weird vibe, and I was like, what the heck? I just had to snap out of it for a little bit. This is just a movie, and it's been a long time since a movie made me feel like that. So as soon as I saw it, it was an instant classic for me. Kubrick did an amazing job. I think Stephen King doesn't like this version, and they made a TV version, but it was horrible. I haven't seen that one, so but either way, Stephen King, he's just an amazing author and just brings us all these amazing horror stories. So I had to mention him and Stanley Kubrick's The Shining in my list. It's just, this movie never gets old, and yeah, here's Johnny. And at number 4, I have another film by another iconic horror director, and that is Wes Craven's Scream. And I know you thought I was going to say Nightmare on Elm Street, but Scream for me, I don't know if I got on record saying this, but as a little kid when I first watched this, I remember waking up in the middle of some nights and having my back turned against the rest of the room, and I was facing the wall, and I didn't know what was behind me. So sometimes I would feel something behind me and thinking it's Ghostface. I was gonna say Leatherface, but Ghostface, And for me, it was because, Freddy and Jason are awesome, but I felt like Ghostface, anybody can be Ghostface. Anybody could just buy the costume, throw it on, and legit start killing people. So that's why I was I don't know. I just thought I had to mention that because That's how much I love this film. It just gave me that realistic nightmares and stuff like that. So this is one of those films I love revisiting around Halloween. So yeah, check it out if you guys haven't. I'm pretty sure you guys have, but check it out again. And at number 3, I know I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this, but it's the iconic Halloween movie, guys. This is still, it's at number 3. It's like one of my favorites. Michael Myers is like that. I feel like he's the first iconic horror guy, and his movie did come out first. Quick fact though, Texas Chainsaw Massacre actually came out before this, but I feel like Michael Myers was like kind of like that first to be like in pop culture, just kind of like he was realized as like, oh my god, he's like one of those horror icons and stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys know this. I'm pretty sure the hardcore film fans do know this, but his mask is actually like, I guess, a face mold of William Shatner. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I have to, obviously, it's Halloween. It's called Halloween. I have to watch this every year around this time. And it's still, for me, very well done. John Carpenter did an amazing job, and it still, for me, holds up. And I'm so excited for the new one coming out next year. October 19th, I believe, 2018, with Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her role. So let's see how that turns out. But in the meantime, we can enjoy this horror classic. So at number 2, guys, I kind of cheated, okay? But it's because these two guys have a lot of movies within themselves. But the main movie I wanted to point out is Freddy vs. Jason, because when this movie came out, I know watching it last night was kind of like, okay, this is kind of bad, but for me, it's like one of those, it's bad, it's so good. And like when this came out before it, I was so hyped for it that I just rented all the Friday the 13th movies, which I own now. But I want to mention Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street as my number 2 as well, because these two guys, for me, are like the most iconic out of all the horror icons and stuff like that. And Freddy Krueger is actually my favorite. But yeah, man, it just, A Nightmare on Elm Street is just so, Wes Craven's a genius. But anyways, I had to mention all these movies, guys, because, I mean, how could we all not have like our own favorite, which is, for me, Nightmare on Elm Street is my personal favorite out of that franchise. And I think maybe Jason Goes to Hell, or maybe the second Friday the 13th. I don't know. Anyways, and then, so those are like my favorites, but also Freddy vs. Jason is one of my favorites, because I don't know, it's just a dream movie that actually came true. So I had to mention these movies, guys, and those are my number 2. And my number 1 favorite movie to watch on Halloween, it's a bit of a newer movie, but the first time I saw it, I fell in love with it, and that is Trick or Treat. How could you not love this movie, or at least watch it on Halloween or around Halloween? For me, as soon as I saw it in 2007, I think it came out in 2007, but as soon as I saw it, every Halloween I've been seeing it. It's one of my traditions to watch this movie on Halloween, and all the other ones too, but this one just became my number 1, and for some reason, it's not my favorite horror movie, and like I said, like Freddy Krueger is my favorite iconic character and stuff like that, but this is just my number 1 Halloween movie. And I just love how all the stories kind of connect and stuff like that. And it also gave us Sam, another horror iconic character. And I don't know what it is about this movie that I just fell in love. But that's my list, guys. Those are my top 5 favorite movies to watch on Halloween. Let me know what's on your top 5. And what are you guys watching tonight? And let me know what's your favorite horror iconic character too. But if you guys want to follow me outside of YouTube, you guys can at The Real Talk with 2Ks on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And as always, I'll see you at the movies. Later, guys, and happy Halloween.